You'll never know the value of a moment until it
Becomes a memory. Life rarely unfolds the way we plan it. It moves through moments, some expected and some uncertain. There are moments that test us, challenge our beliefs, and quietly reshape who we actually are. And when we look back, we realize they were shaping us all throughout.
True that. And that is the paradox of growth. We understand life only in hindsight, but we must live it forward. Our journey is not defined by a single decision or a single success. It is shaped by the arc of our choices, especially in the instances when courage matters more than comfort. Good morning, everyone. I am Himansi Namdev.
And I am Aviral Gupta. And today, we are here to welcome all of you to TEDxNMIMS Bangalore 2026. Today's event is not only about ideas, it's about how perspective, how personal identities are shaped, and understanding how every experience, contradiction, and choices quietly shapes the direction that our lives take.
Success is rarely linear, growth is rarely comfortable, and clarity is rarely immediate. But meaning is built slowly, intentionally, through the decisions we make every day. Let's now get started with the event. But before that, may we request you to please keep your phones on silent mode and allow yourself to be fully present. No student shall leave the auditorium during the event.
In Indian philosophy, light symbolizes knowledge and clarity. Lighting a lamp represents the movement from uncertainty to understanding. And as we begin a day dedicated to ideas and reflection, we request our esteemed guest to kindly join us on stage for ceremonial lamp lighting.
May I please request the dignitaries to please join us for the lamp lighting.
We also present a Saraswati Vandana, a tribute to learning, creativity, and awareness presented by Smriti Bose.
Saraswati Namaः Thank you.
Now I request all the dignitaries to please take back their seats. Thank you for this luminous beginning of today's journey. With the light guiding us, we now move forward to conversations that inspire and challenge us. Our beloved director, Dr. Narayani Ramachandran, is a force to reckon within the field of higher education. Her leadership fosters innovation, integrity, and purpose-driven thinking. She is an inspiration to all of us. Ma'am, we request you to please address the gathering.
A very pleasant good morning to everyone gathered here. Welcome to TEDxNMIMS Bangalore. 13 years ago, a group of students from NMIMS Bangalore had an idea. They wanted to bring world-class idea to this campus. They wanted NMIMS Bangalore campus to have a voice on a global stage. And they made it happen. Today, we are at the 13th edition of TEDx NMIMS Bangalore. Let me remember the batch which brought NMIMS campus TEDx. Let's give them a big round of applause for them. 13 years of curiosity, 13 years of courage, 13 years of students proving that youth is not a limitation, it is a superpower. To our PR cell of SBM Bengaluru, ably mentored by the faculty mentors Dr. Srilekha and Dr. Mallika, let me congratulate you. You must be proud of your team today. You did not just organize just another event. You earned an international license. You continued the legacy of your seniors of this esteemed institution. You built a stage that attracts thinkers, leaders, and change makers. You did it with late nights, relentless follow-ups, lot of nagging from the director's office, and quiet determination. And you did it entirely on your own. This is not a small thing. That is extraordinary. On behalf of NMIMS Bangalore campus, we are all proud of you. PR cell, we are really proud of you. Yes, they definitely need a round of applause. Let me move on to this year's theme, Arc of Accordance. When I first heard it, proposed by the team, brought to me by Dr. Mallika, I paused. It is poetic, but it is also deeply precise. The arc suggests movement progress, a journey in motion. Accordance suggests alignment, agreement, harmony of purpose. Together they ask a powerful question. Are we moving in the same direction towards something that matters? Let me tell you a story. Most of you know the name Amul, don't you? In 1946, the dairy farmers of Anand, Gujarat were exhausted. They were being exploited by middlemen. Their milk their cattle produced, their labor, someone else's profit. A young civil servant named Tirubhuvanadas Patel listened to that. Then Mr. Varghese Kurian arrived. An engineer who knew nothing about cattle, who knew nothing about dairy. And yet, what happened next changed India forever. These two men did not agree on everything. They came from different worlds, different expertise, different temperaments. But they agreed on one arc, that the farmer must own his future or her future. That cooperation must replace exploitation. That India could feed itself and then some. That single arc of accordance between a farmer's leader and a technocrat built an organization and that today touches over 36 lakh milk producers. Amul is just not a brand. It is what happens when human beings align around a purpose larger than themselves. No boardroom strategy created Amul. Accordance did. Think about the world of business today. Organizations are more complex than ever. Teams are global. Decisions are faster. Stakeholders are louder. And yet, the most common reason strategies fail is not lack of resources. It is lack of alignment. Leaders who cannot build accordance cannot build anything worth it. The arc of accordance is not idealism. It is the most practical leadership skill of our time. Today, the ideas on the stage will explore exactly that. Our speakers come from different worlds. Let me extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of them here for choosing NMIMS Bangalore to stage their thoughts. Different experiences, different perspectives. But each of them has something to say about finding alignment in themselves, in their teams, and in the systems they operate within. Listen not just with your ears. Listen to your questions. Listen to your disagreements. Because the arc becomes clearer when more minds are working on it together. To our distinguished speakers, we place on record our gratitude, and we would like to acknowledge it's a pride and privilege to host you here today. Thank you. You chose to be here. That means everything. This audience is ready for you. To our audience, students, faculty members, staff members, guests, ideas are only powerful when they find the right people. You are those right people. And you are ready today. And to a dear PR cell, one final time, you gave NMIMS Bengaluru a stage. Again. 13 times over, going to get over, you have kept this arc alive. I hope the junior batch going to come, they will keep it as a legacy. I'm sure the faculty mentors agree to it. As we step into this extraordinary day together, I leave you not with a framework, not with a formula, but with those simple lines that say something worth saying about the theme we carry today. When separate rivers choose one sea, that is the arc of you and me. Not sameness sought, nor voices hushed, but truth aligned and egos crushed. The former, the dreamer, the builder, the sage, all find their power on a shared stage. For the arc is not drawn by a single hand. It bends towards purpose as together we stand. Thank you. Let the ideas begin.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for those insightful words. You have set the perfect tone for today's event by focusing on growth through awareness and progress through purpose. NMIMS Bangalore is more than a campus. It's a space where ideas are nurtured, leaders are shaped, and values meet the real world impact. Let us now take a moment to experience the spirit and journey of NMIMS Bangalore through a short video.
That was a beautiful glimpse into NMIMS Bangalore's journey. TED stands for Technology, Entertainment and Design. But today, it represents something much larger. TED is a global non-profit organization built on one powerful belief: ideas change everything. A platform through which thinkers, innovators, and change makers share ideas that spark curiosity and inspire action. TEDx carries this mission forward through independently organized events. X represents a local platform that brings communities together while staying connected to a global exchange of ideas.
Through TEDx, diverse voices come together to question, explore, and create a meaningful dialogue. Today, TEDxNMIMS Bangalore becomes a part of that global movement where ideas are not just shared but experienced. To understand the impact and spirit of TEDx across communities worldwide, let us now take a moment to look at a short video.
Welcome to something special. Welcome to TEDx. This TEDx event is part of a global conversation that takes place every day in every corner of the world. In schools, in theaters, in workplaces, even in prisons, people gather to hear the best ideas bubbling up in their communities. More than 3,000 TEDx events are held every year in 170 countries. It's a remarkable thing. TEDx events are self-organized under a license from TED, a non-profit organization devoted to discovering and sharing powerful ideas in the form of TED Talks. It's not TED itself, but your local TEDx team of volunteers that has done all the work to put on today's event, including booking all of the speakers. It's this team's ideas, dedication, and time that have made this possible. We really hope today's program sparks an exciting conversation. This is a day for curiosity and for skepticism, for inspiration and for action. The more you enter into it, the more you will take out. And now, on with the show.
And that is how TEDx inspires through voices worldwide. This year's theme is Arc of Accordance. It reflects how our personal values, social influences, and unexpected encounters come together to shape the flow of our lives. Alignment is not about perfection. It is about balance, the harmony that forms when emotion, logic, and experience evolve together.
Life does not always move in straight lines. It moves in arcs, shaped by change, conflict, growth, and understanding. True growth does not come from eliminating contradictions, it comes from learning how to move forward despite them. Arc of accordance reminds us that every decision, whether deliberate or instinctive, becomes part of a larger story. To explore the deeper meaning of our theme, let us now watch a short video that captures the essence of our theme, Arc of Accordance. It truly reflected the essence of our theme. We now move to the heart of today's experience. Our stage is set to bring together voices from different worlds: corporate leadership, activism, law, sports, entrepreneurship, and healthcare. Each speaker represents a different arc, a different journey, a different form of alignment.
Our first speaker represents the arc of strategic leadership shaped not only by numbers but by vision and perspective. Koshek Mitra is the Vice President and CFO of PepsiCo India and South Asia with over 3 decades of leadership across Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. He has led finance and strategy across diverse markets while shaping innovation and operational excellence at scale.
Beyond the boardroom, he is a published author, a TEDx speaker, a mentor, and the creator of the Career Edge platform, where he simplifies his career growth through real stories and lived experiences. He represents alignment in action, turning professional success into a meaningful impact. Please join me in welcoming him to TEDxNMIMS Bangalore stage.
Okay. Great. How are we all feeling today? How's the energy at the back? People gone off to sleep? All right. It's a pleasure for me to be here today and to talk about the topic that we have in hand, the arc of accordance. And I know I have a timer, so I'll get right to it. I want to start by making a confession. I have lived 2 lives. Yes, you heard me right. And my story today is my journey between my first life and the second. I was born in a middle-class Bengali family, and I had a very tough childhood. Money for one was tight. I had to take tuitions to make ends meet. Many a times I have walked out of restaurants because I couldn't afford the bill. And home was also tough. Wasn't easy. Dysfunctional at times. And as you can imagine, growing up like that, confidence didn't come naturally. My self-esteem was low. So that's where I started. That was my first life. And I used to look at all these people with cushy jobs, great homes, driving fancy cars, very secure lives. And I used to envy them. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine that one day I would be looking at life from the same vantage point. So my story today is what happened between life 1 and life 2. And as I look at it, it syncs very well with the theme that we have today. It's a story about 3 words which align: head, heart, and hand. Head, all the learnings that I've had, the support that I've got from all the great people that I've worked with. Hand, my own desire to make my life better, resilience, adaptability, and I'll talk about it. And finally, a larger sense of purpose, which is really the heart, and that's what takes you the long distance. But life hasn't been linear, and that's why it's an arc. And I've had my share of setbacks, I've had my share of failures, but I've learned most from failures. So all of you today, be prepared to fail. Let me start with my first lesson, and that lesson is about gratitude. People think of success, corporate life, as something which is inevitable because we are bright. I'll tell you that it is not. My life has been anything but that. I have oscillated between confidence and vulnerability all the time. And you will too. But as I stand here today, I am deeply grateful to all the people and all those situations which has taught me the real lessons in life, starting with my parents who sacrificed for me. My wife, over the last 30 years, she has been the reason to get out of bed, my pillar of support. You need that anchor. And finally, life has taught me many lessons, good and bad. So my story really is about all these learnings which I had and my desire to take my life to a better place along with a sense of purpose. But it's been a journey which has been really back and forth. In fact, I took a demotion at one time to take care of a personal need. But gratitude is lesson number one for me, and that is what keeps me humble. What did I learn from my parents? From my mother, I learned the importance of being good, and that's the first person that I am. That's the first thing that people see in me wherever I go, personally, professionally. From my father, and we didn't have a silver spoon, so I learned the importance of doing well. So being good and doing well are my pivotal anchors, the two principles which has guided life, both personal and professional. I wanted to work in a company which was driven by performance, but also cared about how that performance came. And I'm so proud to have been working in PepsiCo for the last 24 years, and I can't tell you the company really allows me to live the way I want to live my life. And our ex-CEO, Indra Nui, all of you would have heard of her. I'm sure you would have heard of her, the iconic leader. She talked about performance with purpose. And I see a great sync between my accordance in life, which is those principles of being good and doing well, with performance with purpose. And all the decisions that have been taken and the leader that I am today is a result of those two principal anchors. Now, I meandered for a while. I didn't know what I wanted to do, honestly. I wanted to be an engineer, and then I wanted to be a fighter pilot and all those funny things. And then I made a career in finance. And as I think about our corporate world, and I've been at it for 35 years, and I can tell you, there is an arc of alignment there. And this topic has got me thinking deeply about what that arc is. And the more I think of it, I'm convinced that the alignment that you need to succeed, both as an individual, as a professional, and as an organization, is this alignment between your individual goals, passions, objectives, with functional goals and objectives, and ultimately, and most importantly, with the organization's goals and objectives. And when we start our lives and when you start your careers, you will focus on individual performance, right? We all care about individual brilliance, how I am doing. How's my performance in the year? As you get to mid-level, you may be heading functions, and therefore you will be looking at functional excellence, how the function is doing. But all this doesn't matter, because to get to a senior leader, you need to deliver business objectives. So your job is to get the best out of individuals and functional teams to drive business results. There's no point. Corporate life is not an individual sport. It's not 100 meters. Athletics. It is a team sport. Therefore, great leaders are able to galvanize individual brilliance and functional excellence and bring it for the benefit of the organization. Just to take a cricket parlance, folks, imagine Kohli or Sachin scoring a century and India losing the match. Nobody cared they scored a century, right? The team goal was compromised. Therefore, that's the arc of accordance in the professional world. And I also thought as a finance person, as a CFO, what is the job of finance? What is the job of a CFO? And then I realized the single truth, which has been my anchor in professional life, has given me the courage of conviction for all these years. If there was a shareholder, if there was an owner of the organization in the room, what would that owner and shareholder be thinking? Now, this powerful insight has helped and shaped my professional behavior over so many years. And there is a dilemma that we face sometimes, and I call it the shareholder value creation versus the boss is always right dilemma. And we tend to anchor towards the boss is always right initially. But in life, and particularly finance folks, you are the true representative of the shareholder of the company. Have that shareholder value creation mindset versus the boss is always right mindset. Now, I traveled quite a bit, and I've worked in India, worked in other parts of the world, various teams. So let me talk about a few lessons I learned, which has shaped my journey between my first life and second, and it also helped in this arc of accordance. Lesson number one, adaptability. I went to Dubai, my first job after about 10, 15 years in India, and I was given a very diverse team. Somebody from Lebanon, somebody from Turkey, somebody from Guatemala, somebody from China, somebody from the UK, no Indians. And my Indian way of leading completely fell flat. I came in late. I expected people to stay late. Nobody wanted to do that. My Turkish colleague wanted instructions on an email while I was comfortable on the phone. My Chinese colleague was quiet. Culturally, they are quiet, and it was up to me to give him the chance to speak up, and I didn't. And he had the best ideas. So I struggled, and I was feeling like a victim and thinking, what am I doing wrong here? And then the realization dawned. The problem was not with the team, the problem was with me. And I was expecting everybody to adapt to my style, whereas what I should be really doing is understanding the specific needs of each individual and adapting my style to them. As I did that, the magic happened. You will lead diverse teams. I can't tell you the power of leading diverse teams and working in diverse teams. Diverse and inclusive cultures bring out the best professional results. So that's lesson number 1, adaptability. And it stayed with me all through my life. Lesson number 2 is resilience. Now, as a country, as a nation, we are focused on brilliance. Our education system, but filters out what we call the brilliant minds. But are these brilliant minds the best minds to succeed in professional, personal life? I don't think so. That's not the only criteria. I think resilience today is as important as brilliance. Just as they say culture eats strategy for breakfast, brilliance without resilience, surefire formula for failure. I went to Vietnam, a very, very new country, and within 10 days I faced a crisis. There was some software, there was a bug in the system, and everything was down. And the head of IT, who used to report to me, a local Vietnamese, came up to me and said, "Boss, systems are down, please help me." And I said, "You are the head of IT, I know nothing about technology, you please fix it." And he said, "No, boss, this has never happened before. You are the smart person who has come from India. Why don't you help me fix it?" And I felt like a victim. I felt like a deer caught in the middle of the road, in the headlights of a car fast approaching. And then the CEO came and said, "Factory is shut, sales is shut, and you're sitting on your chair. Why don't you do something about it?" I was frozen for 3 days, couldn't move, did nothing. And then the realization dawned, if I don't do anything about it, nobody is going to do anything about it. So I dialed a few of my colleagues in other companies, and they said, "Guess what? The systems are down in our place also." And as Dale Carnegie has said, I'm okay, I'm not okay, you're not okay is a better situation than I'm not okay, but everybody else is okay, right? So that gave me a little bit more confidence. Funny, but it gave me more confidence. And I moved from what I call the victim stage to the karna kya hai stage. What needs to be done? And then I realized it's an opportunity. If I can get the systems up faster than others, it's a competitive advantage. I'll delight everybody. So life will throw us a curved ball, and all of you a curved ball like this all the time. It's not about the curved ball. It's not about the falling down. It's not about the failure, but it's about what happens in your head when this is happening. And it's not easy. We are all human beings. Professional challenges are one thing. I can say personal challenges are even more daunting, right? So my request to all of you is, don't feel like a victim. Focus on what the learning is and focus on karna kya hai, what needs to be done. So that's lesson number 2, resilience. Lesson number 3 is what I learned working with the Japanese. It's a Zen Buddhist concept called soshing. And it's about having a mind like a child, a beginner's mind. Now in the VUCA world that we live in today, I have seen knowledge will become a baggage. And as I move around my different roles in different parts of the world, I pride myself in having a lot of knowledge. When I went to Vietnam, I realized I shouldn't talk about what I've done in India for the first 6 months, just to get culturally, adapt myself to them, right? They're a very proud nation. So this process of learning, unlearning, and relearning is so important to succeed in professional life. As we become senior leaders, we accumulate a lot of baggage in our head, and that baggage becomes a challenge. We are not inclusive. Imagine the world that's coming with AI and everything, right? You today and your knowledge today is not relevant for what you need to be tomorrow. So have this mind like a child, be a lifelong learner. Lesson number 4 is what I learned working with people. And life is about working with people. It's the human edge which really makes the difference. So every time I moved, I had different stakeholders, culturally different stakeholders. My credibility was 0. I had to build it from scratch. So I have this 30, 60, 90-day plan where I focus on learning the job. But more importantly, I focus on what I call building trust accounts with my stakeholders. Just like we deposit money into bank accounts, I deposited trust monies into the trust accounts. And what that basically means, is spending time with your stakeholders. Firstly, making a list of who your stakeholders are. And then getting beyond the transactional relationship. Investing time, listening to them, understanding their perspective, really trying to find solutions. That makes a big difference. Because as Stephen Covey said, things happen at the speed of trust in the corporate world. So building trust accounts is a surefire way of getting yourself accepted. Now, it's not easy, and we get into the hurly-burly of the job. Focus on the people part, focus on building trust. Now, you will not have high trust with all stakeholders. Don't expect perfection. 80-20 is good enough, right? And the fifth lesson, and I think the most powerful lesson for me, is what I call values, ethics, and integrity. We are who we are, and you are who you are in an empty room where nobody is watching you. And for me, integrity is 100% or nothing. And remember, life will always deal you two hands, a shorter risk-fraught, red flag-fraught path, and a path which is doing things the right way. Always choose the path which is doing things the right way. Because in the long run, your credibility depends on it. And credibility is very hard to build. But it's like a glass ball. Breaks very quickly. Integrity, 100% or nothing. I'm very proud to work with PepsiCo, a company which has been on Ethisphere, the list of top ethical companies for several years. It's the oxygen that I breathe. Make it your oxygen as well. So those were a few lessons which have helped my arc of accordance over the years. Now, let me talk a little bit about the sense, the purpose, the heart. So I was happy. My head and my hand was doing well. I was doing professionally very well, but something was missing. In my mid-40s, I realized, am I working to live or am I living to work? And I realized, I'm not living to work. Work is just a means to an end. Now, as a kid growing up, I always loved words, but I got stuck in a career juggling numbers. So I decided to do something about it. I started writing. I wrote 2 fiction novels, and then recently I've written a business book, The Career Edge, which has been published by Penguin, a big shout out to them. And people ask me, how are you able to do all this writing while holding down a job? My HR colleagues are wondering, is this guy really working? He's doing all sorts of other stuff. But, this is my greatest arc of accordance. It's better than medicine. It helps me bring my best self to work because it aligns my head, heart, and hand. And it's ultimately about what you really love. And careers are marathons. You will need to find that inner nourishment, whatever it is. Think about what made a happy you when you were a kid. Maybe it was music. I don't know what it was, right? Maybe it's sports. Get back to it. There is no excuse for not pursuing your passion beyond work if you had one. It helps you stay balanced. Now, as I conclude, I have another confession to make. So far, life has always been about performance. And I'm now embarking on a new phase of life, which is going to be more about purpose. And going back to my first lesson, which is this deep feeling of gratitude, I now want to pay it forward and spend more time with folks like you, people who are starting their careers or in the mid-careers trying to shape their way forward. I'm going to work with them and help them find their path ahead. So that's my story, and that's my arc of accordance. I have found mine. I hope you find yours. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, sir, for that sharp and thought-provoking perspective. Some journeys test not just the mind, but the limits of the human body. It's an honor to introduce a speaker whose life explores the powerful connection between focus and resilience. Maria Bobella is a world champion freediver from Poland. Competing on a single breath, she ventures into the depths of the ocean, pushing the boundaries of endurance and mental clarity.
She has also spent over a decade helping brands shape meaningful visual identities, blending artistic vision with strategic clarity. She brings together the worlds of deep focus and creativity, channeling precision, discipline, and calm into her creative process. Please join me in welcoming her to the TEDxNMIMS Bangalore stage.
Okay. Yeah, this. Hello. Yes. Thank you. I guess for many of you, this background out there might look a little bit uncomfortable, right? I want you now to pause for a moment and let's do something that we do on a daily basis, but we are not really aware of sometimes doing right. I want you to sit comfortably and take the deep breath in, okay? And breathe out. And now let's breathe in again. And I want you to pause. And let's hold it for 10 seconds. Relax. 9, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Guys, we are not really aware of our breath, and breath is such a powerful tool. I'm a free diver, and I do the breath hold on a daily basis right now. Imagine this breath hold that you did right now. You can close your eyes right now. Imagine you are sinking in a deep blue sea while holding this breath. This is what freediving is, and this is what brought me peace. This is what I'm doing now. Okay, let me tell you the story of a simple girl who decided to flow with the waves without resisting, and it brought her to her accordance. It's the story about me. So, 2021, I was back to Poland after coronavirus started. I had to get back from Brazil when I was staying at that particular moment. And I found myself in this very gray reality, closed in 4 walls, not having idea what to do. I was working remotely for a big corporation as a graphic designer, but I was always on the go. That was my kind of way of living. And here I'm stuck in Warsaw, winter, -10, gray buildings around me, heavy lockdown, I cannot go out of home. It goes on for months. The world went silent, so did I, and I couldn't really deal with that. And something happened. Apparently, just next to Warsaw, in the suburbs of it, unexpectedly, we were announced that there is a deepest pool in the world opening. Somehow the facility managed to be open throughout all the restrictions, and I got a hope. I was thinking, okay, let me try to pursue some new passion. I was always into water, so I thought, let me try this freediving thing. I've heard a lot about that. I don't know, guys, if you ever watched the Big Blue movie, very fascinating one, yeah. So I thought, okay, this is the right moment to pursue that thing that I always wanted to try. So I went there for my first freedive session, and guess what? I was absolutely terrible. It was disaster, pure disaster. I went to 2 meters, I suffocated, struggled. I couldn't really understand why in the world somebody would decide to do something so absolutely unpleasant, okay? Well, with a very big disappointment, I left. I never looked back at this particular moment. I stopped for months. I got back to this gray reality. Again, with no purpose, just working on my corporate work, not really seeing anything happening on the horizon. And apparently, there was a moment that I was so desperate for a change, and in some sort of impulse, I just bought myself a flight ticket to Egypt. I thought, okay, let's take 1 month of a break. Since I was working remotely, I had this opportunity to work from my laptop, so I did so. And I landed in this beautiful place called Dahab in South Sinai. It's a place where the mountains meets the sea, very small Bedouin village, nothing fancy, but beautiful place. I truly recommend to check it out. And when I landed out there, I realized that this is something I've been really missing. I've been always really connected to nature, to water, and I just seen this blue, beautiful Red Sea, and I decided, okay, Maria, let's give it one more chance. So I tried freediving again. And this time, freediving came out to be something easier. I realized that I was pushing before. I tried to force freediving. I tried to prove everyone around me that I am good at something instantly. And it didn't work. But when I just let it go, I went in the water and I realized that the art of letting go is what made this activity easy for me and actually allowed me to enjoy it and feel what freediving could give the person. And it has a lot of benefits, believe me. So from this moment on, I continued going in the water throughout this month that I was in Dahab in Egypt, and I started getting a little bit better and better, but I cannot really say that I was tremendously great yet. What happened later, it's a funny twist, and as today's theme is about the waves in our lives, right, about the twists, there is a love story involved in my story. So I was walking on the shore of Dahab, and I saw this beautiful furry guy trapped in the sea. And since I am a tremendous dog lover, I just jumped in and I decided to rescue the puppy. The puppy was very sick, and I knew that if I didn't take him, he was probably going to die. So since I had just 1 week left in Dahab, I decided I'll just keep him, feed him, give him the medicines, and then eventually probably release him when I need to go. As you probably expect, this didn't happen. I stayed in Dahab not for 1 month, but eventually for 2.5 years. Why? Because it takes 7 months to create a passport for a dog. So that was apparently the reason I decided to, I got grounded. I got kind of grounded in that place. And thanks to this guy, probably I'm a world champion today. So yes, our life continued. We lived in Dahab, and because I had the 7 months out there, I could practice freediving while also contributing to my corporation with my designing skills back then. And eventually, another twist in the story happened. Throughout my work, computer work, I just got up and I've heard a crack in my back. A diagnosis, 2 discs slipped off my spine. I cannot walk for 4 months. The story was so bad that apparently I had to pay a person for walking my dog and getting me groceries. And out of, again, some sort of desperation, I decided to sign up for the freediving competition that was half year later. Why did I do that? I think it was some kind of self-agreement to get better. You know, I wanted to force myself, motivate myself to just quickly stand back on my feet. And this was some sort of motivation for doing so. Depth does not reward force. It rewards relaxation. The more you fight the water, the faster you run out of breath. That's my kind of freediving mantra, which I realized applies in our life as well. The more we push, the more we resist, the more we try to fight, the less it's happening, right? So, getting back to my story, I took it slowly. You know, I took it step by step. I just tried to get better and better and better. And slowly, 6 months later, I was standing on my first competition ready to dive, and I scored my first 4 national records. Thank you. Yes, and then 3 years from the start, I became a world champion. I stood on the first place with a gold medal in Korsika. Thank you so much. And again, in freediving, when pressure increases, you don't rush upwards, you descend calmly. This is my lesson from freediving, because remember the beginning of my story, when I pushed, when I wanted to fight it, when I wanted to do the best, when the ego took the main stage, I failed. I failed, and this failure actually taught me to kind of address this other approach, which turned out to be very successful for me. But again, after winning the World Championship gold medal, what happened? I had another twist in my life, a very difficult story. I actually didn't write it down in my script, but I'll tell you, I had to get divorced. I decided to get divorced. It was very, very probably the most difficult story in my life emotionally that I was going through. But you know what? Freediving, that lesson that I got from it, really helped me to go through that experience with kind of like observation. I will not say that I didn't struggle. I had to go through my grief. I had to go through very difficult moments, but I approached them with understanding. And I knew that this is just the wave of my life. And now I'm standing here in front of you, and I'm doing perfectly fine. Last year, after the story that I told you about, I stood back on my feet and I won the silver medal on the World Championship as well. Hence, why am I telling you this story? Why it got actually so intimate? I just want to tell you guys that whatever you are going through right now, whether it's hard, whether it's a great thing, you need to remember that life goes in waves, okay? All right, I have a question to you. Have you guys ever heard about something called mammalian diving reflex? No? All right, this is something that each of you, since we all are mammals, have possessed. These are like kind of reactions that we have when we are entering water, that body responds with to help us stay underwater longer. So first of those reaction is when we touch with our face the water, our heartbeat immediately slows down. Some of you who are probably scared of water wouldn't know about it because we start panicking, you know, and it kind of works against this reaction. But we do have it. Another thing is that the blood from our extremities goes into our vital organs to protect us. So the problem is not physiology. We all got it. We got it within ourselves to survive whatever stress it is, whatever bad things are happening in our life, or the good ones. You know, it's within ourselves. It's our resistance. It's our resistance that pushes us back from the solution, that pushes us back from the accordance. So whatever you guys are going through, as I said before, try to observe, accept, and try to trust that you are on the right way towards your accordance. Today I compete. I'm an athlete, but I also teach. In theory, it's a freediving, but in practice, I teach how to relax. I teach how to breathe. And I encourage you guys to look into the way you breathe, because we have a very powerful tool to control our life, which we are not really aware of, but it really is a powerful thing, and it really helps a lot if we do it consciously and understand how that tool that we possess really works. Thank you.
Thank you for showing us what it truly means to find calm and courage in the deepest pressures. Our next speaker brings a perspective shaped by courage, accountability, and unwavering conviction. For years, he has stood at the front lines of human rights advocacy, fighting for justice. His work has been associated with some of the country's most significant legal battles, ensuring that difficult conversations are not silenced and that accountability is pursued with persistence.
But his journey extends beyond the courtroom, that is, in humanity. As the president and curator of the Leave No One Behind International Conclave on Human Rights, Community Welfare Philanthropy, and the UN Sustainable Development Goals, he has brought together leaders, policymakers, and changemakers from across the globe to engage in dialogue that transcends borders. Please join me in welcoming him on TEDxNMIMS Bangalore stage.
Thank you. Life has come full circle. William Shakespeare, King Lear, Act 5, Scene 3. Edmund says, life has come full circle. I'm here. Well, well, well. I'm not here to talk about William Shakespeare. I'm here to discuss the arc of accordance. Think of the circle of life and imagine the wheel of fortune. Life is indeed cyclical. Those at the top may hit the rock bottom, and those who are ignored may become unforgettable. The circle of life, my friends, consists of two arcs. The first arc is the one that you do not get to choose. The first arc of the circle of life is the one that you don't get to design. It is the arc that you are born with. Your surname, your situation, your circumstances, personal, financial, social. Things you do not choose, but things that you are born with. The second arc of the circle of life is the arc that you get to choose. The second arc is the arc that you get to decide. The second arc is the arc that you shape. The second arc is the arc that shapes the world around you. So what is the arc of accordance? The arc of accordance is when what you believe, what you do, and what the world desperately needs all point in the same direction. Not permanently, not perfectly, but enough for you to move forward without tearing yourself apart. In human rights, the arc of accordance is when the power is in alignment with purpose. In an ideal environment, the power is answerable to purpose and not the vice versa. In Eastern civilizations, there is a concept of karma and dharma. One difference between the concept of karma and dharma and the arc of accordance is that in karma and dharma, the why is more important than the what. But for a detailed comparison between karma and dharma and the arc of accordance, that would require a separate TED talk. Let me share a personal story. In 2006, there was a deafening silence over India. In 1999, a girl had been murdered. And despite years of court proceedings and dozens of witnesses, in 2006, no one was held accountable. The nation asked, did no one kill her? It appeared that the law of the land was far away from the conscience of the nation. I couldn't sleep that night. By the time it was morning, I had realized that as a 20-year-old, I'm going to do whatever is in my scope to put my weight behind the cause. I found myself getting 300 t-shirts printed and organized a candlelight vigil. We saw students scale the walls of their hostels to join us. And before we could realize, it had contributed to a larger public movement, which eventually led to an outcome that reinstilled the faith of people in our courts, that our courts are not just courts of law, but that our courts are courts of justice. It's very important that our courts are not just courts of law, but that our courts are courts of justice. Now, that was 2006. If I ask you in 2026, has much changed? If I ask you if things have changed, one may wonder whether the Universal Declaration of Human Rights sitting inside the air-conditioned walls of the United Nations talks to the realities of the child on the streets of a war-torn nation. One may wonder whether the sophisticated meetings taking place on human rights around the world talk to the realities of families staying in darkness because the only light they get to see is that of armored drones. But does that mean that Universal Declaration of Human Rights and entities such as United Nations are not important? Does that mean that those meetings are not potent enough? No. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights and those sophisticated meetings taking place all over the world are very important because it is these entities and these meetings that ensure that even if the arc is dislocated, the arc is not broken. Now, I have shared my arc of accordance with you, but I'll help you form your own arc of accordance. So what do? Number one, you identify the gap. You identify the gap in your own communities to see where the reality is far away from the ideal. Two, you apply pressure. You don't need a massive NGO. You don't even need a protest group. Your voice, every effort, every tweet, every post, every digital campaign, every signature, every letter, every email matters because it is your effort that bends the curve to ensure that it's in place. And number three, be in synchronization. Be in synchronization not to win over arguments. Be in synchronization to ensure that we build a world where justice is not just an exception, but where justice is the absolute default. My name is Prablo, and I believe that justice is not a destination. Justice is the accordance that we work on every single day. The arc of accordance is the expressway to justice. The arc of accordance is the final flight to justice. Come, let's build our arc together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for reminding us that real change begins with the courage to stand out and act upon it. Our next performance reflects that when tradition meets synchrony, dance becomes dialogue. Bharatnatyam is blend of harmony, strength, and shared expression. Please join me in welcoming Shweta Rajesh and Sanaya Mukherjee to the stage of NMIMS Bangalore for a beautiful dance performance.
ಚಂದ್ರಚೂಡ ಶಿವಶಂಕರ ಪಾರ್ವತಿ ರಮಣಯ ನಿನಗೆ ನಮೋ ನಮೋ. ಚಂದ್ರಚೂಡ ಶಿವಶಂಕರ ಪಾರ್ವತಿ ರಮಣ ನಿನಗೆ ನಮೋ ನಮೋ. ಸುಂದರತರ ವಿರಾಗಧರ ಸುಂದರತರ ವಿರಾಗ ಧರಧರ ಗಂಗಾಧರ ಗಜ ಚರ್ಮಾಂಬರಧರ ಗಂಗಾಧರ ಗಜ ಚರ್ಮಾಂಬರಧರ. ಚಂದ್ರಚೂಡ ಶಿವಶಂಕರ ಪಾರ್ವತಿ ರಮಣ ನಿನಗೆ ನಮೋ ನಮೋ. ಗದ್ಯೋ ಜಾತಮಾಂಬದನಂ ಗಂಗಾ ಚಂದ್ರ ಸಮಾಗಮತೀರ್ಥಂ ಪ್ರಣವಂ നാദമായുണരും തുടിയോ വേദകലാമൃത പുണ്യം പ്രകൃതിയും നിന്നിൽ വികൃതിയും നിന്നിൽ സ്വരങ്ങളിലായി ലയങ്ങളിലായി ശക്തി സ്വരൂപം ഓം ശിവോഹം ശ്രീ ശിവോഹം ഓം ശിവോഹം രുദ്രം ശ്രീകരം ಮುರಳಲಿ ವಸಿಮರುದ್ರಾಕ್ಷವು ಧರಿಸಿದ ಪರಮ ವೈಷ್ಣವನು ನೀನೆ. ಗರುಡ ಗಮನ ನಮ್ಮ ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲನ ಪ್ರಾಣ ಪ್ರಿಯನು ನೀನೆ. ಚಂದ್ರಚೂಡ ಶಿವಶಂಕರ ಪಾರ್ವತಿ ರಮಣ ನಿನಗೆ ನಮೋ. ನಿರಿಸ ಶ್ವಾಸ ನಿಸರಿ ನಿರಿಸದ ಶ್ವಾಸ ನಿಸರ ನಿಪಮ ಮಗ ಮರಿಸರಿ ರಿ ಕರಿಸ ಮಾಮ ಪರರ ನಿಸರಿ ರಿ ಗಗ ಸರಿ ಗಗ ನಿಸದ ಮಮರದ ನಿಸರಿ ರಿ ರಿ ಸದ ನಿಪಮ ಮಗ ಮರಿಸ ನಿಸ ಸರಿ ರಿ ಗಗ ನಿಸ ಕರಿಸ ಶ್ರೀ ಕರಿಸ ಮಮ ಪದದ ನಿಸ ಕಿರಿ ಗರಿ ಸಾರಿಗ ಸದಾನಿ ಮಮ ಮಗ ಮರಿಸರಿ ಮಮ వనని సరి సదని మమ వనని సరి సరి సత్యమం అమరమం ఏకమే పూర్ణమం శూన్యమం ఏకమే కృష్ణం రుద్రం ఏకమే.
That was truly mesmerizing. And now we invite our esteemed speakers, dignitaries to proceed for lunch to the dining area. Thank you. The students shall remain seated.
welcome you back. We hope you are refreshed and ready for the next set of powerful voices. Now, moving forward,
let us introduce you to our next speaker, Dr. Ritika Sa, who is a doctor turned entrepreneur and the co-founder of Rocket Health, India's first doctor-led digital mental health care platform. Raised in a family of doctors in Bihar, she grew up understanding that healthcare is built on trust and compassion. As a practicing doctor, she saw how stigma and fear prevented people from seeking mental health support.
Through Rocket Health, she's helping create safe, accessible spaces where therapy and psychiatry are stigma-free. Her work blends medical science, technology, and empathy, redefining how we approach vulnerability and well-being. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ritika.
Well, hello everyone. I hope you guys had a great lunch. I am Ritika, and as the introduction goes, I am a doctor, and I was born to a gynecologist mother and a surgeon father in Gaya, Bihar. And I grew up on top of a hospital. Like literally, I grew up on top and lived there on top of the hospital. And the thing with doctor parents, you know, is that your lunchtime conversations are not like, hey, how was school? It's more like, oh, that patient was really serious. They lost a lot of blood and we had to rush them to OT quickly. So, you know, my life was kind of ingrained in medicine. It was the air I was breathing in, I was living in. So medicine for me was not just a career option. So my plan for my whole life was pretty clear. I will do NEET UG, I will do MBBS for 5.5 years, and then I'll crack NEET PG, and then specialize, and then become a surgeon, just like my dad. And for those of you, since you're doing MBA, you don't know, that requires almost a decade of commitment, and it truly shapes you. It's a lot of dedication. There's a lot of, I would say, it's very competitive, like it's very demanding. So it truly shapes the person you will become. In April 2021, I was ready to give the NEET PG exam. I had studied for almost like 15, 16 hours a day for almost more than a year. And I was truly prepared. Trust me, I was prepared. But then COVID happened, the second wave of COVID as we all know it. And my exam was indefinitely postponed. And I was in a standstill like, okay, what do I do now? Like everything I've prepped for is on a hold. But the country, India overall, was facing something bigger. The world was facing something bigger at that time. And in fact, we were getting calls at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., panicking people saying that their oxygen saturation was below 90. What do they do? Do they go to the hospital or do they stay at home, take the treatment? We were getting calls around oxygen cylinders. So as we all know, that there was a lot of chaos. There was a lot of lives lost at that time. So my brother, who's sitting there in the audience today, and I decided to build a website on Wix, and we called it Rocket Health. It was not a startup. It was just a volunteer website wherein a lot of doctors were there trying to help out people during COVID, trying to tell them that, hey, whether or not you should go to a hospital, and if you're staying at home, what treatment to take. So more around triaging, helping them with the treatment. And while doing that, I think in just 2 weeks, we almost helped 5,000 patients for free. So that was one of the things which happened. But then, that's not the story, guys. So somewhere between the 16 hours of me studying for NEET PG, and now like maybe 15, 16 hours helping out people with Rocket Health, something shifted in me. I just realized that whatever I was building right now was giving me more energy. I was liking what I was doing, and that kind of terrified me because I had spent a lot of years studying medicine. So if this is what is exciting for me, the life I've built for the past few years might not be true anymore. So the thing is that it's not like I didn't love medicine. I love medicine. I love OT, Operation Theatre. I love the smell of it. So yeah, don't judge me, but I do. I love the smell of blood. And there's some, calmness, there's some discipline, there's some authority required where you actually know something so deeply that you're ready to cut someone open on an Operation Theatre table to save them. And I love that. But this was a little different. This was more building things from scratch, not following the textbook. This was more coordinating across cities. This was building systems from scratch, and I don't know, I love the thrill of it. This was not just helping one person, maybe. This was helping more people. This was impact at scale. So yeah, I love doing that. But then while doing that, I also realized that I always had that itch. I always had that itch while doing MBBS when I was going to the hospital as well. I thought that, why are systems running this way? Why am I getting blood reports manually? At that time, we had to. I was so frustrated. I was like, okay, we need to do something about it. It's just that COVID, when it happened, it revealed that moment. And in that moment, I realized that the plan which I'd built for so many years, it's just not fitting the person I'm kind of becoming. So the whole thing I want you guys to take away from this talk is that moment. I think everyone faces that moment. Everyone gets that internal shift. I feel we're not taught how to accept that moment. We're not taught how to process that moment. We are taught that if you are disciplined, stay in your field. If you've given so many years, stay in your field. You need to be like really, I would say, strong. Like if you're changing your path, you don't have the conviction in what you're doing. But that's not true, guys. Like everyone grows. And when you're growing, it's very important to go back and reassess where you came from, what direction are you going into. So while doing that, I realized something pretty strong. I realized while doing the volunteer thing, I realized I found an intersection wherein I was doing something I had already learned, something which I was also good at, and something which was very exciting to me. And when you get that intersection in life, you have to seize that. You have to seize that moment. You can't be in two boats then. You have to seize it. Yeah. So, yeah, guys, one more thing I would like to tell you that a lot of you over here are MBA students, but one thing is true, you need to still go build things, do things. You can't learn, you can't discover this path by sitting still. You have to test things, you have to build things, you also have to reiterate and like redevelop things. And then one day you will realize that this is something which you want to do. And, at that moment you will know. And when you know that moment, please just seize that moment. Sorry, I think there's some lag in the teleprompter. Yeah. But regardless, I think a lot of you are MBA students over here, like I said, and a lot of you are freshers. A lot of you come here with a lot of work experience. A lot of you are over here trying to pivot or maybe figure things out, what to do next. The thing is that the first job which you've done not necessarily means that that's the lifelong thing which you're going to do. For some people, that is true. For some people, realize that pretty early on, and they keep doing the thing which they were doing. But some people need that early iteration, that tinkering, to realize what they're great at. And you are at a great college. Tomorrow you would go get your job. Tomorrow you might build something and you'll realize that that is it. But guys, that's still not it. You still have to be curious. You still have to build depth in whatever you're doing. Tomorrow, if you're going to be a marketer, go be a great marketer. If you are going to be an analyst, go be a great analyst. You still have to grow. You still have to build skills because those skills are portable. You will take that skill to whatever you're doing next. It's not going to waste. Whatever you've done before this is not going to waste. Your first job is not going to waste. The degree you're doing right now is never going to go to waste. The maths we learnt in school also never went to waste. Trust me, it is utilized somewhere, someday. So yeah. In April 2021, when my exam got postponed, at that time I felt like everything was on hold. But 5 years later, right now, I have never once wished that my exam happened on time. Because when that happened, that shift happened, that forced me to think a bit more deeply, that forced me to reflect and understand that, hey, like, you're growing. You need to catch that moment. And that was the moment I caught and like chose what I want to do next. It's not that I was not dealt with a lot of friction. Everyone around me was asking, hey, you're doing MBBS, you should specialize, because that's what 99% of the doctors end up doing. They also asked me, oh, next, are you going to do an MBA? What if Rocket Health doesn't work out? What if you don't get the funding? What will you do next? But today, Rocket Health profitably employs more than 130 people across the country. We are doing roughly more than $2 million in annual run rate. We've helped more than 70,000 people access therapy all across the world, but we touch millions of lives, I think, with the content we're creating. We are just getting started, guys. But to get here, I feel I still had to study medicine. COVID still had to happen. But most importantly, I had to choose. I had to seize the moment I recognized. And that's one thing I'll just want you to take away from this talk. Whenever you feel that you get that intersection in life, whenever you feel that itch in life, seize that moment, assess that moment, and choose and move forward. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am, for demonstrating how innovation becomes powerful when it is driven by empathy and determination.
Some leaders build expertise, some credibility, and some quietly shape entire ecosystems. Our next speaker, Nila Badami, is a senior partner at Samvad Partners, working at the intersection of law, innovation, and enterprise. A gold medalist from Nalsa University of Law and a Michigan Grotius Scholar at the University of Michigan Law School, she has advised global investors, founders, and institutions across private equity, venture capital, and high-stakes transactions.
Her journey spans continents, from contributing to the International Criminal Court in The Hague to shaping India's evolving business landscape. Beyond her professional excellence, she is a mentor and a thought leader who believes that empathy and excellence can coexist. Please join me in welcoming Nila Badami.
All right. In 2020, my life looked like a picture of professional success. Inside, however, was a different story. My personal life was in disarray. I was profoundly out of balance. I weighed 108 kgs when my son was born in 2019. And suddenly, one day, my body decided it had had enough. I was carrying this tiny little infant who must have weighed hardly 1 or 2 kgs in my hands, and I was going up the stairs, and suddenly I couldn't do it anymore. My body stumbled and fell. My body just said, I can't carry your weight any longer, let alone his. That was the moment I hit my rock bottom. And paradoxically, it was the best thing that could have happened to me, because there was nowhere to go but up. This isn't a story about weight loss, okay? It's a story about how the relentless pursuit of success had led me to become completely out of alignment, no arc of accordance, only discordance, right? And it's the story of how I found my balance and my rhythm and my internal geometry of alignment again, right? And the secret is, when I found my own balance, I also lost about 20 kgs quite sustainably, but that's a story for another day. So, how did I go about doing this? Serendipity sent a friend into my life who introduced me to a new behavioral framework, which is founded on 3 pillars: movement, food, and sleep. There's also a secret foundation that I'll reveal at the end of the talk, but to which I will be providing clues throughout the talk, so I encourage you to listen carefully. There's also a master key that unlocked this entire puzzle for me, and we're going to feel that experientially towards the end. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the talk. We'll start with movement first. My journey with my body began early. I was an obese child, finding solace in books and in mindless eating. My mother was very worried about me. And at the age of 10, she enrolled me in a swimming camp. Thank you, Mother. She's sitting in the audience. And swimming changed my life. I moved from being a couch potato to captain of the Karnataka women's water polo team. We won medals. We traveled the length and breadth of the country, made lifelong friendships. And I had the time of my life. And when the mind-body is in that elevated state, mental performance follows. Homework, which used to take me 2 hours to do earlier, could now be completed in about 30 minutes. I ended my class 10 board exams by topping the school and also securing a state rank, right? What's the point of the story? It's not to boast. Thank you. The point of the story is that our mind works best when in motion. Our bodies are not designed to just keep sitting endlessly, right? So when the mind-body is in that elevated state of performance, you'll find your mental performance also improving. Now, in my adult life and in my professional life, I don't have 4 hours a day to train, right? When I used to swim, I used to train 2 times a day, morning, evening. In the summer holidays, 3 times a day. Who has that kind of time now? So what I started doing when I had this young baby, I started doing micro workouts. So just 10 minutes a day, I'd put on like a YouTube video. In 10 minutes a day, I'd work up a sweat. And that was enough to get me out of that rut. So the takeaway for you from the movement pillar is just that. Even if you don't have time to do much, just start. If you ever feel stuck, don't overthink it, go for a walk, okay? Get the body moving. Let's come to the next pillar, which is food, okay? So our relationship with food can be complex, okay? Nature has designed us to be pleasure-seeking and pain-avoiding organisms. This worked very well when we were fighting for our survival in the savannah, but it doesn't work that well when we're surrounded by so much of food noise these days, okay? A personal story, my own example, if I was ever stressed, whether it was in the final year of law school where I was confronted by so many options and terribly stressed about which one to choose, or in the professional context, when I was being hounded by a client with deadlines, what was my go-to? I could devour like a whole packet of potato chips, sometimes several, at one go. That wasn't hunger, that was relief, right? So what helped me? What helped me was discovering a very interesting tool called Swadhyaya. It's a beautiful Sanskrit word which means self-reflection. What that means is you don't have to make any changes immediately. Just very simply observe your own behavior. Do whatever it is that you're doing, continue to do it, but can you bring awareness? Can you notice what's happening? Specifically, how I did this was I started maintaining a food log. So I just have a table like this on my computer, and I just make a note of what it is that I was consuming every day. What this did was that it brought awareness to my unconscious patterns. Okay? Once I had my own data, I didn't need anyone to tell me what I was doing wrong. I could immediately see it. I could immediately see what were the triggers that would make me binge. And once I had this data, I was able to sustainably make changes. I don't think I've been on a junk food binge for many years now. And I think I'd consistently given up late night eating for several years in a row. So the system worked for me. You may want to consider if it's something that appeals to you. Let's move to the next pillar. Sleep deprivation is a global epidemic. Studies show that in India is one of the most sleep-deprived populations in the world. And it was the same thing with me. I was very sleep-deprived for a very long time. What helped me here? Applying Swadhyaya helped here too. But I discovered a very profound technique called Yoga Nidra. Hands up if any of you have heard of Yoga Nidra. Very nice. I dream of the day when I see all of the hands in an auditorium raised, because this is such a wonderful and profound technique. And by the way, it's extremely difficult. So many of you may not be able to do it. You know why it's very difficult? It only involves lying down flat on the floor in the position of Shavasana. I'm just joking. In Yoga Nidra, what we do is we lie flat in a supine position, and we listen to an audio which takes us through a series of steps of perception. All right? Our ancient texts say that there are 4 states of consciousness. Okay? The 4 states are awake, asleep, dreaming, and superconscious. So Yoga Nidra takes you to the 4th state, and it works on a gross and a subtle level. At the gross level, it helps giving you very, very deep rest. So if you are a very sleep-deprived person, I highly recommend the practice of Yoga Nidra. Even dedicating as little as 10 to 20 minutes a day can help you feel extremely refreshed. The subtle aspect is more interesting, and I'll come to that in a bit. Right. Let's take a moment to just sum up what we looked at so far. Okay? So we spoke about 3 pillars. We spoke about 1 takeaway from each of these pillars, and we spoke about a mystery foundation. Any ideas what that foundation is? Anyone? My friends can't answer. All right, so since this is not an interactive format, I'll keep it moving. It's the mind, okay? The mind is the foundation of each of these pillars, okay? And the core premise of this talk is that it is our mental patterns that produce our behavior. Our mental patterns produce our personalities, and whether we have that internal alignment, whether we are in our own arc of accordance, depends on our relationship with our minds, okay? So how do we go about making our unconscious patterns conscious? I already mentioned a couple of tools, okay? And as the Swiss psychoanalyst Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate, okay? Now, let me come to the core of the Yoga Nidra practice and what it was that helped me, okay? So at the core of Yoga Nidra is something called Sankalpa. Sankalpa is a beautiful word that means purpose, intention, or resolve. It's a very short set of words that has to be repeated at the beginning and at the end of the meditation. And what this does is that it trains your unconscious mind to start repeating those patterns that you actually want, okay? And over the course of time, it diminishes the unconscious patterns. So how did I arrive at my sankalpa? I sat with myself and I thought about when is it that I feel most satisfied and most in flow. In the professional context, two instances came up. They both related to very complex mergers and acquisitions negotiations where I was in a conference room. There were about 10, 15 people from different stakeholders involved. And all of them were really angry because they thought that the document did not protect their interests at all, right? And very heated discussions, people were getting personal, things were getting very nasty. After a little while, it occurred to me that most of this fighting was happening because people did not really understand how the document worked. So I said, let's take a breather. So I went away, I sat with my laptop. I condensed a 10-page long indemnity and limitation of liability clause into one table. And I put it up on the screen. And once I was able to demonstrate to people how their interests were protected, everything calmed down, the tension de-escalated, and we were able to close the negotiations very quickly. So it became very obvious to me that what I enjoy is making complex things simple. So Sankalpa emerged, which is that I help people with my words. Sankalpa also had two other benefits for me. One is it helped me prioritize things, right? So if I felt very imbalanced and out of alignment because I had too many things to do, I just had to refer to my purpose. And then my purpose helped me decide what things I should say no to, right? Because we live in a world where multiple priorities are competing for our attention. So that's a practical benefit. The second benefit is that your purpose prevents you from feeling bored. You may still feel bored some of the time, but at least you'll do less things, at least in my case. So my boredom eating also reduced, because now I have fun doing things like this, where I'm helping people with my words. Right. Now, any thoughts on what could be the master key that ties all of this together? What's the master key that could unlock this entire puzzle? Ma'am? Yes, how do we arrive at that state of accordance? Okay. In the interests of time, I'll give you the reveal, which is that it's your breath. Okay. So the breath is the bridge between body and mind. And we're going to play a little game right now so that you all can experience this. Okay. How many of y'all feel your thoughts are racing at the moment? Please put your hands up. Thoughts very fast? Okay. All right, excellent. Let's play a little game. I invite you all to just sit comfortably. Just come a little forward in your seat. Sit at the edge of your seat. Keep your head, neck, and trunk in one straight line. Just stack up your ankles under your knees. Roll your shoulders back. Okay? Just very relaxed. Okay? Let there be a nice right angle between your knees and your heels. Okay? Place your right hand on your belly. You can remove your glasses and your watches if you like. And just exhale. Imagine there is a rubber tire around your waist. Okay? With every exhale, that rubber tire is deflating. And with every inhale, that rubber tire is nicely inflating. Okay? Exhale, the tire deflates. Inhale, the tire inflates. With your hand, feel how your diaphragm expands as your lungs fill up with air. As your lungs fill up with air, your tummy comes out. And as your lungs empty, your tummy goes in. We want our breath to be very smooth, silent, no jerks or pauses between inhalation and exhalation. Very smoothly, take your own time, make friends with your breath. Just with a sense of curiosity and playfulness, just observe your breath, observe what's going on in your body. Just listen to your body. Just listen, enjoy that sensation of exhalation and inhalation. We'll just do this another 5 breaths. Exhale, the tire deflates. Inhale, the tire inflates. Enjoy the sensation. Make friends. So you have a beautiful relationship between your body, your mind, and your breath. All right? We'll just do that, just 5 more breaths. Really enjoy it. For these 5 breaths, you have nothing to think about. The outside world ceases to exist. Just enjoy that sensation. All right? And whenever you're ready, don't come out with a jerk. Very, very gently on the next exhale, if you like, you can rub your palms together. Bring them to your eyes. And then slowly come out. Very slowly, no jerks. And I'd like to hear, just by a raise of hands, for everyone who said that their thoughts were racing, do you notice a difference in the quality of your thoughts? Anyone who notices a difference in the quality of their thoughts, right? So it really is as simple as that. The mind is a capricious creature. It cannot be controlled. The more you try to control it, the more it will try to run away. You can influence it through the breath, and the breath is the master key. And that is how you develop your own arc of accordance. This system and this work is what helped me find my own internal geometry of alignment. And I hope that you heard some things that could also help you with your own journey. And I strongly believe that this state of consciousness is everybody's birthright. So you shouldn't be afraid to claim it, right? That's how I found my own arc of accordance. And I feel like life is much richer and fuller because of this system. So here's an invitation for you. Tonight, before you go to sleep, try to do some diaphragmatic breathing. What we did is called diaphragmatic breathing, and it's the simplest tool that you have to influence your mind. Tomorrow, repeat diaphragmatic breathing. Maybe just note down what you ate. The day after, repeat these 2 steps, notice your sleep. Do this for a week, okay? On the 4th day, add a little bit of movement. Once you've done it for a week, observe for yourself. Do you notice any difference? Don't take my word for it at all. Design your own arc of accordance. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that wonderful insight. It is the little things that mostly go unnoticed, and I hope with the speech that you gave today, we all find our own arc of accordance soon. Rooted in devotion, discipline, and powerful storytelling, Bharatnatyam is a celebration of rhythm and emotion. Through precise movements and expressive abhinaya, it brings mythology and meaning to life. Please help me join Sata Vishasur for a wonderful dance performance.
विनोदिनि नन्दनुते गिरिवरविन्ध्यशिरोधिनि वासिनि विष्णुविलासिनि जिष्णुनुते भगवति भवति हेशिति कण्ठकुटुम्बिनि भूरि कुटुम्बिनि भूरि कृते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते सुरवरवर्षिणि दुर्धरधर्षिणि दुर्मुखमर्षिणि हर्षरते त्रिभुवनपोषिणि शङ्करतोषिणि कील्बिषमोषिणि घोषरते धनुजनिरोषिणि दितिसुतरोषिणि दुर्मदशोषिणि सिन्धुसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते अयि जगदम्ब मदम्ब कदम्ब वनप्रियवासिनि हासरते शिखरि शिरोमणि तुङ्ग हिमालय शृङ्गनिजालय मध्यगते मधु मधुरे मधुकैटभगञ्जिनि कैटभभञ्जिनि रासरते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते
Thank you, Satavisha, for that amazing performance. Before we continue with the next set of speakers, we'll take a short break. Please join us for high tea, connect with each other, and we'll be here shortly. Thank you. Students remain seated.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dhruv
Ma?
Sharma.
And my name is Shreya Bansal.
We welcome you back to the final arc of TEDxNMIMS Bangalore 2026. As we move forward with today's journey, we are reminded that true alignment is often forged through resilience. Let us continue. It is my honor to introduce a woman whose life reflects extraordinary strength and purpose. Malti Krishnamurti Holla is one of India's most celebrated para-athletes and a pioneer in Paralympic racing. Born in Kota, Karnataka, she was struck by polio. But she refused to let circumstances define her future.
Across decades of dedication, she has won over 400 international medals, representing India at the Paralympics, Asian Games, and Global Championships. She has been honored with highly prestigious awards like the Arjuna Award and the Padma Shri for her exceptional achievements. Beyond sports, she co-founded the Mathru Foundation, empowering children with disabilities and creating pathways of dignity and opportunity. Her journey embodies the spirit of Arc of Accordance, transforming adversity into collective impact. Please join me in welcoming her.
Thing that goes on. A very good afternoon, all of you. Hope you have fabulous lunch and tea. Good. I'm Malti Holla. Struck by this polio when I was just 14 months old. It was severely affected down to my neck. Only my neck was functioning, rest everything was totally paralyzed. We hail from very small village near Kota, Udupi, that is Dakshina Kannada, South Kerala. We migrated to Bangalore for our livelihood, and my father started with a small hotel business. We were suffering to have even one-time meal also that time. I'm the youngest child of 4 children of my parents. My mother is not as educated as you all. She used to carry me on her shoulder, catching 2 to 3 buses to get me the electric shock treatment in one of the government hospital because we were not afford to go to the private hospital or go by taxi or auto rickshaw, anything. This was continuously going on for 2 continuous years. Then slowly I could able to get back my strength on my upper part of my body. My hands okay, my shoulders became okay because I didn't have my strength on my eyeballs and my talking or my hearing, nothing it was there. Slowly I could able to gain all the strength. One of the doctors advised my parents that, seeing our economical condition, he advised my parents to get me admitted in one of the hospitals at Chennai. At Chennai, under one roof, you have your education, your stay and food, and your medical assistance, everything under one roof. Because those times, polio was all over the global, it was just spread like anything. I was admitted there, and 15 long years I was in the hospital, undergoing almost 39 surgeries and 21 fractures. Then 10th, I could able to study till 10th there. All the surgeries and the fractures were going on its own time, but I never used to give up my education at all. So I completed my 10th and came out with the distinction came to Bangalore to continue my education. I wanted to become a doctor. It was my big passion, you know. Honestly, not to serve the society, but each and every time I peep into the operation theatre, I used to challenge the doctor. Each and every time you are cutting one of my bone or nerves or tissues or muscles, whatever, you are hurting me a lot, and followed by the rigorous physical exercises and physiotherapy and everything and all. It's very painful, you know, physically it is very painful. And mentally I drain a lot. So one day, I became a doctor and see that one of your nerves or bone cut by me. That was the childish passion or dream maybe. But God listens everything, you know. So one fine day, I was blessed by honorary doctorate. Now I am Dr. Malti Holla. Then I came back to Bangalore, got an admission at one of the prestigious college here. But that time I used to walk with the help of my crutches and calipers, you know. Then all my classes were in the third floor. Again, the so-called circumstances, you know, it drained my ambitions and dreams. By the time I climb all the three stories and go to the classrooms, 45 minutes of period would have got over. Then I cried and came back to my parent, and my papa was my favorite, and I told my papa, I don't want to continue my education at all. Everyone is looking me like an alien, and everybody is sympathizing me. I don't want to continue all this at all. It's a bloody, mental trauma. My father said only one thing, look child, this is your life. First of all, you have to accept what you are. You are a disabled person, first accept it, that's all. Your principal may not be aware that you are one of our students. Isn't it? It's a huge institution of 6,000 students. Go and request her, go and explain your problems. You might get in help at all. With our physical condition, with our economical condition, I could able to lay a foundation only this much only. I don't know whether you run or walk or grumble or wheel and reach your destination, I don't know. This much only I can do that. Then very next day, I went and requested my principal and explained her my physical problems, everything. By very next day onwards, all my classes were shifted to the ground floor. I think that was my very, very transformation period or moment in my life, you know. Till today, or till this moment, I do not know the meaning for the inferiority complex, or I do not know the spelling for the impossibility at all. Morning I was in the Delhi, I came back from Delhi because I had to go on there to give a motivational speech there. Physically I was little drained because I didn't get my IL seat at all. I got on the 22nd row and 2.5 hours journey, flight journey from Delhi. My bladder was full. I was mentally little drained and, little tired also. The moment I got down from the flight and couldn't go to the toilet because my IL chair was not given, my big chair was given to me. I had to cope up with the so-called circumstances. Then finally, I came home and finished everything. Why I'm telling you this is, if you go on grumble and cribbing for what you don't get from the world, I think you have to make them to understand what you want. Very easy, that's all. I always tell the people that this is a wonderful world. It has so much to give us. Only thing is we have to correct ourselves. We have to clean our inside vision. Because, see, the scratched spectacles will give you the blur vision, isn't it? Likewise, when you see from your inner vision so clearly, the outside world is so beautiful. It is just waiting outside to hug us. Don't worry about the grumble. Don't grumble about the you have the physical pain and everything. Look at me. I cannot run or stand or even stand like you all. Or until and unless I tell you that I have undergone this much of surgeries, this much of fractures, this much of this and that and all, you can never find a pinch of a pain on my face at all. because a part of my body is paralyzed, that's all. My confidence is not paralyzed. My determination is not paralyzed. My self-respect is not paralyzed. My motivation and inspiration are not paralyzed. About and everything, my ambitions and dreams are not paralyzed. So I never think that I'm a disabled person at all. Each and everyone has one or the other problem, that's all. Mine is very visible, it's like a postcard. Those who suffer from inferiority complex, superiority complex, loneliness, sadness, etc., 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 and all, those disabilities are like the envelope cover inside. That's all. Very, very easy, because the society, what we call is, we created the society, we all live in this society. It's like a mirror, it reflects our own images and attitudes. If you look into us very happily, very ambitiously, with a very smiling face, definitely it reflects back. That's all. So everything is within us only. We have to create, we have to correct ourselves and look into the world. Always I'm telling, every problem has a solution. Every problem has a solution. Only thing is, first of all, you have to experience your problem, that's all. Morning, I was having a problem with my bladder. Immediately I thought, okay, next time onwards, everything you have to clean up before boarding the flight. You won't be knowing whether you get a IL seat or anything. You'll be deboarded, in the last or first, or you don't know, isn't it? That was my solution. Made up my mind next time onwards. That was my failure, I should have gone earlier to the airport and did everything clear. So this was, every problem has a solution. For example, step is my problem, ramp is my solution. Very, very easy, that's all. Only thing is, you have to experience the problem first. You have to experience the failure first. Every failure, every person would come across the failure first, one way or the other. Until and unless you experience the failure, you taste the bitterness of your failure, how will you taste the sweetness of the success at all? We all say that failure is different and success is different. Nothing. Failure is a part of a success, that's all. I always, all my 397 gold medal, it has not come like it at all. So many I would have lost it. So many I would have lost it. Isn't it? That was my lesson. Where will I better myself? What was my fault? Where can I correct myself? That was there. Isn't it? Always I tell you, don't discriminate yourself. Don't discourage yourself. Always you think that God has made you. It's a gifted. My disability is my God gift, Why I didn't born like you all, isn't it? There is a reason behind my birth. I cannot be like very happy like you all, but I'm the happiest person on the earth. How? I can give back to the society what I have gotten that. In that way, you have to live, because we have only one life, isn't it? Next time what happens, next moment what happens, only He knows it. Life is very unpredictable. So let us all live the fullest of our life. Let's enjoy. And if not to the entire world, we can inspire. At least one person who is next to you, you can inspire the person. In that way, the life goes and goes. Always be optimist. I don't care what I have a problem, isn't it? My mother got me this life, this disability life. Very proudly I can say, this disability life, my parents got me this. So I can live with that, and I can try to be inspired the rest of the world always. Because always the world will look at us the way we look at it, that's all. I'll tell you one small, this thing happened in my life. In 1981, I think my 29th surgery I had undergone. Due to the doctor's wrong medicine, I had to lose one of my kidneys, almost 90% of my kidneys strength, one kidney. So my national games was there at Ahmedabad. I had to represent the state. My parents said, no, you're not going because you're like this and all. You're ill and all this and that. But against them, I went there. But unfortunately, no other women athlete, women competitor was with me. I was alone. and I was asked to quit the 100 meters race because I was alone. Then I said, no, I will compete with boys. Then everybody in my team, people also, they laughed at me, and they all said, no, we are not going to witness your game because you are competing with men. I said, no worries, participation is most important. Winning is, let us see later on. Because I was physically I was very, very weak, Then my name was added in the 100 meters race with the boys. And I prayed only one thing to the God. I know very well that I will not get my first, second, or third place. I know that. Because I am competing with men. At least one competitor should run behind me. It's a psychology, Because he'll be chasing me. So I'll be putting more strength on my shoulder and more try to wheel more faster than it. It's a selfish psychology. That's all. This is only one prayer I got him. I prayed with the God, and trigger was on. I started wheeling my wheelchair. I stood number 1. Why I'm telling you this thing, The physical strength, of course, we are very weaker than men physically. But the mental strength, what we have, the confidence, inner confidence, what we have, that is nothing, no one can match it at all. Only thing is we have to excel it in a very proper way. Mahatma Gandhi says this, the physical strength doesn't come from physical capacity at all. It comes from indomitable will. So once you are strong here, you can really rule the world. As I'm doing it, I'm ruling my life. I'm the happiest person, as I told you, I'm the happiest person on the earth. I can go nook and corner of the world, I can travel alone. No problem. Because I always think this is not my wheelchair. This is my chariot. I'm sitting as a gorgeous queen on my chariot. I always think that. I have to give back to the society. Everyone has to give back to the society. In that way, I am also giving back to the society in one way or the other. I'm a proud mother of 53 children. As ma'am said, Matra Foundation. That's what. I'm giving back to the society. In that way, every one of us have to live the fullest life, because only one life. Next janam, what we get birth, we don't know. So this life is a wonderful life. Enjoy yourself. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Malti, for that truly inspiring story of resilience and purpose. Thank you so much.
Some journeys are measured in milestones, others are measured in the scale of influence they create. Bhaska Dutt's journey reflects global leadership shaped by vision and adaptability. With over 3 decades of experience, he has been a part of Tata Elxsi as the global head of strategic relations. Across continents, industries, and evolving markets, he has built partnerships, led transformation, and shaped innovation.
From leading business operations in North America to forging strategic alliances worldwide, his career demonstrates the power of reinvention anchored in purpose. Please join me in welcoming him.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yeah. Tell me, what's the first word that came to your mind when you heard that music? All right. I thought you guys will talk about terrible dancer, but yeah, I'm definitely speak a little better than I dance. This I got to fix. Yeah. Okay. So it's lovely to be here again, Director Nila. It's almost like home to me now, and those are very difficult acts to follow. Very, very difficult acts to follow. Every single speech that I heard this morning or this afternoon were extremely inspirational, extremely inspirational. What was also quite unique is the fact that there were a fair number of commonality in some of our themes and some of the things we wanted to talk about, right? We have national and international champions in free diving, in water polo, right? In 3 medals. Yeah, all good? Can you hear me? Yeah, 397 medals. My first job ever was as a lifeguard and swim coach when I was in college, right? So there is a water connection, nowhere close to international standards, but well in American Embassy School in Delhi. Smaller pool, same size pool though. Yeah. When I was invited to come for this event, and the theme was communicated to me by Harsh, and I'm sorry, quick story about Harsh. So when he called, he said, "Bhaskar sir, I'm your Spock." I said, "My God, you're part of the corporate culture already, Spock." Wow, very, very impressive. So the theme, which is arc of accordance, right, seemed very impressive. A lot of tasks there, right? Very, very impressive. So I Googled it. right? And I realized that it was invented brilliantly by the team, right? And that's really a wonderful, wonderful concept, and it ties together a lot of things that we've been talking about, or the team has been talking about, or the speakers have been talking about. Yeah. Some of the things that they spoke about were things I wanted to talk about, so I was kind of grumbling to Director Narayana, like, I got to take that off from my list, I got to take that off from my list, but I think there's a perspective that all of us bring. Okay, let me ask this question. Most of you would have heard of the Pareto 80-20 principle, which was also talked about Koshek in the first presentation. You've heard of the Pareto principle, right? Yeah, the 80-20 principle? Yeah, kind of. Some of you guys are MBA students, I'm sure you have, right? Have you heard of the PTOS principle? Anybody? No, you can't talk about it. Yeah? Okay, if you haven't, that's because I invented it brilliantly, right? And it stands for passion, energy, and the other stuff. Yeah, the other stuff, yeah. The other stuff being humility and grace, integrity, empathy, kindness, love, and gratitude. I'll talk about each of these. Each of these letters in the acronym is very, very dear to my heart, very, very dear to me. I'm going to start with energy because you guys got energy right? What is energy? Energy is something that I'm going to draw from something that I heard in a previous speech. It's as basic as inhaling and exhaling, right? I believe that we absorb energy and we emit energy, right? That's something that we naturally do. The thing that makes it different is that when you have that energy, it precedes you when you enter a room. You feel it. It's palpable. Energy is absolutely palpable. Either you bring it with you, or when you enter a room, you see it and you sense it in some person or persons, right, who's there in that room. It's not something that you can't miss. It is something that, I like to call it emotional electricity, because that is what it is, because it's a form of energy. It may not be like solar, or wind, or electric, but it's clearly an energy source. And go to the next, Harsh, if you can go to the next slide. Hard work and commitment, I'm not going to talk about right now, right, because it's a hygiene factor, right? You have to work, guys, right, to kind of do well. So I'm not going to talk about that aspect. I'm going to talk about all the others which have made a difference in my life, right? I'm 100 years old, and I've been working for 60 years. Yeah? And though I look like 35 years old, so I'm not going to do the math for you. But I've learned a lot over these years. As I was introduced, I've worked in many businesses, many geographies, with completely different kinds of people. Some completely left brain, some completely right brain. I worked for Tata Elxsi more than 22 years, and it's one of the largest integrated design studio in the world, right? Integrated because a number of them are technologists and engineers, and a number of them are pure designers. They are right-brain, creative people, right? And when you put them in the same room together, it's not always a happy combination, right? So we've gone through that journey, not just as a company, but, I've gone through that journey along with the rest of the company, and we've learned, yeah? I want to take a couple of examples of in energy that has made an impact on me over the years, starting from when I was much younger and until maybe 15 years ago. The first example I want to take is a person called Dr. Keith Purvis, and nobody would have heard of Keith Purvis in this hall today. But can we go to the slide, Harsh? No, we can go to the next one. The next one. Sorry, my very first inspiration has been my dad, right? I'm a lot like him, right? I think my personality is a lot like him. I like talking to people, I like interacting, I like making people smile. One of the things my dad used to say is that be happy and make others happy. That was his blessing. Every time. Be happy, make others happy, right? So he's my first source of inspiration. Yeah, okay, sorry about that. My second inspiration, Muhammad Ali, right? The original greatest of all time. I think in this demographic, in this generation, you may not have heard too much about Muhammad Ali, but he was probably the greatest living sportsperson in the previous century. Yeah? And if you haven't heard much about him, I suggest you look him up, right? Look at his interviews, look at his fights, look at what the man was all about. Truly, truly inspirational, right? Not just in the ring, but outside. A third inspiration has been, who I just mentioned a while back, Dr. Keith Purvis. Many years ago, about 25 years ago, where most of you were not born, I introduced digital imaging when I was with Eastman Kodak into India. And I used to head the digital and applied imaging business, and I was the youngest business head in the world. But Dr. Keith Purvis used to look after, he was a big man, he used to look after Europe, Africa, Middle East, Asia. And he was part of Kodak Professional, which is a different division, which also was launching a digital business. And I remember the first time that I met him, he was in an international global offsite in India, happened to be in India. People from all over the world were here. And he was trying to get me to join his division, right, as the business head for the digital practice. There was an offsite, so he came in. I still remember this 30 years ago. He was wearing blue track pants, right? He was wearing, I think, a pink T-shirt, I think. And he had this white hair even then and, you know, brilliant blue eyes, right? And he said, Bhaska, when are you going to come on board, right? And the way he stuck out his hand stayed with me all these ways. I said, I want to work for this guy. I want to work for this man, right? Years later, you know, I changed that to I want to be like this man, right? I want to exude that energy. And I think after 30 years, maybe I've imbued a little bit of it. At least my hair is as white as his. Maybe he still had more when I met him. But clearly a great inspiration. So one thing I want to mention is that human interaction, face-to-face interaction, right, is multi-sensorial. It's just not what you say or what you hear, right? But it's the visual, is what you hear. It's the touch, right? So every time we interact with somebody, don't just go by the voice. Of course, it always helps if we wear a nice deo or a perfume too, right? Cover all the senses, cover all bases. So I think that's truly, truly important. My next inspiration is, I don't know if any of you have heard of this name, but you've all heard of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'm sure, right? Everybody likes Avengers and all those guys, right? Iron Man and Thor and all those guys. So Victoria Alonso is an executive producer, and she was one of the people who founded the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Very, very big person in Hollywood. And for a while, I ran a visual effects studio in Los Angeles. I met a lot of exciting people, a lot of sleepless nights too, because it's a very, very difficult business. It looks very nice and glamorous and, you know, big screen movies and stuff like that. But I will never forget the visit that Victoria, they had just launched Iron Man, which was the first in the franchise. And she came into my studio to see what we do, right? To see if we can do some work for them. In my studio there, I had 11 people. 2 of them were Academy Award winners. So they're very, very senior people in the fraternity, in the business. They were local Americans, right? And people from Hollywood. Right? And when she came in with 3 or 4 of her visual effects supervisors and producers. And she came into our conference room. And the energy was, again, very palpable. She came in and she sat down and she looked at each of us and said, so Bhaska, what do you do? And she knows what I do. She's read up, right? Joel, what do you do? Trisha, what do you do? Just that energy, one-to-one energy, looking at her eyes and saying, what do you do, right? It's like, my God, this is energy, right? She's from South America. She started as a visual effects artist. She became a visual effects supervisor, then a producer, and she's an executive producer. She's one of the biggest guys in Hollywood. And, you know, Marvel makes some of the biggest tentpole movies using visual effects globally every year. Which is your favorite MCU movie? Anybody? Iron Man, yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite too, yeah, absolutely. Okay, moving on. You probably wouldn't have heard of Angela Arhens, but I suggest you look her up. She's a very prolific speaker, brilliant businessman. She's a leader in the fashion industry. And so when she joined Burberry, it's a British multinational, as you know, and the company wasn't doing well. She joined, and then she met the chief creative officer to have a discussion on how can they together make it a company that they always wanted to work for. Yeah. So they talked for a while, talked strategy for a while, and then they kept aside those papers and they started talking about energy. They talked about energy for an hour and a half, right? And cut to about 5 or 6 months later, she engaged one of the larger consulting firms, right, to do an evaluation. And as large consulting firms do, they came up with a report full of facts, yeah, which said that there's a 5% chance that she will succeed in meeting her goals. 5% chance. This is the CEO who has contracted them for a report. What they didn't allow for is the role that energy can play in a corporation, right? She made her numbers, the 3-year goals, a year in advance, right? That's the power of energy. That's the power of energy that can unify, that can motivate, that can transform and transcend. Very, very powerful. You should look her up. She's a fantastic speaker too. Yeah, make a note of her name. Yeah? If you move on, I want to talk about the fact that why energy, right? Everybody now in the world is a storyteller, right? No matter what we do, we are creating content, we are telling a story, right? technology has democratized information. So everybody that you know, whether it's your partner, whether it's your associate, whether it's your competitor, they have access to the same platforms and knowledge that everybody else has and that you have. So essentially, if you think of it, technology is a conduit, right? The story is you, right? You have to make that impact. Your energy has to make that impact. And this is true irrespective of which business you're in, yeah, or what subject you're studying or want to study further. If you move forward, the other thing that I want to talk about, I know I talked about PTOS, which is passion, energy. I just flip that around. Passion is so have passion, have multiple passions. So for people who've heard me before, I don't know if you remember what I said. Have multiple passions, but maybe not in your love lives. Anywhere else is fine, right? Everywhere else is fine, and it is not difficult to find, right? In your generation, you will find it in your immediate family. I've spoken about my daughter before. 4 careers at this point of time. She's sitting here right now saying, Dad, don't embarrass me again. But I want to give you another example. Of course, all you guys are the same generation, right? I'm sure you're able to do a number of things at the same time because technology provides intersections. There's one of the things that one of the other speakers said, intersections. Technology gives you intersections that give you opportunities. So this niece of mine, she is just like her uncle, that's me. She's not too much into academics. She doesn't like studying. I didn't like studying either. But she loved animals, right? Her passion was to become a veterinary surgeon, right? And in about 9 months' time, she's going to get a degree. Kritika, take a bow, right? You are an inspiration to me, really, truly, truly. I know it's been a very, very difficult journey, but you aced it, absolutely aced it. Yeah. Passion. I'm going to take a few examples of people with passion or situations or companies with passion which have been truly inspirational. I was talking about the visual effects studio that I ran in Los Angeles, and as I mentioned, it's a very, very difficult business, right? It seems very glamorous. And I remember at one time you were working on a delivery for, I think it was Harry Potter. We were working on it was a very, very tough schedule. And my entire team, they did not go home for 4 days. For 4 days, yeah? One of them, she lived alone, and she had 4 dogs. I know there's a lot of resonance I'll find in the audience because we have 3 dogs too now, right? So we know what they mean to us. So she knew that the dogs had food for 1 day. The second day, she talked to a neighbor to see if they could go the 3rd day. But she had no clue the end of the 4th day when she went back how her children will be, right? That's amazing passion. That's commitment. It's, we all work hard, right? It's not to say that our visual effects, studio in India and Bombay don't work hard, right? But that was amazing passion, amazing passion. Something had to be delivered. You do what you need to do to make them happen, right? So then I asked Treva to bring her dog to office, right? And I was telling the story to my CEO who came from India, and I had no clue he was scared of dogs, right? So I was telling him the story and opened the door to my studio and said, and there was a huge dog standing there and scared the heck out of my boss because I didn't know he was scared of dogs, right? So I said that, so Naga, I asked Treva to get a dog here. So you do what you need to do to make sure that people who work on a particular project make it as comfortable as possible for them. Is there another slide here? Yes. Like I talked about my 100 years of being around, having worked for many, 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 many years. It's actually 39 years. And I've been able to merge my passion with my first job, as I mentioned, right? I gave it away because all of you had talked about the water and swimming. Do you know who the first person is? Mark Spitz. Mark Spitz won 8 gold medals in the Munich Olympics. Phenomenal. He was a hero. So I used to swim a lot, competitive swimming in school. Like I said, not at the levels as you all have, right? He was phenomenal. He was our god, right? He was a butterfly specialist. When if you swim, butterfly is one of the toughest strokes to do. It was my stroke. The second person you recognize. Yeah? Michael Phelps, absolutely. You know how many gold medals? 27 gold medals. That's more than what countries get cumulatively over the years. Phenomenal champion. He's had tremendous challenges. He had challenges with addiction, with depression, with all kinds of stuff, right? But he came back, right, to make it happen again, to get the 27th medal. Phenomenal champion, right? I've been very lucky in terms of being associated with creating new categories in India, not just companies, but categories. Many years back, I was part of the first radio station in the country, first private FM radio station in the country. Do you know which one that is? Which city that was in? Bangalore. Yeah, we had the very first radio station. Radio City Bangalore is run by Star TV. So I was a station director. that was amazing, amazing energy because they was working with people who never worked before in their lives, and suddenly the radio jockeys were they were heroes, they were gods, because the only station in town. When I used to do a lot of on-ground events with them, they'd get mobbed. I had to get security kind of to make sure that they're safe. But huge amount of energy there, right? Eastman Kodak. I think I mentioned this a little while back. I launched digital cameras in India in 1995. Again, as I mentioned, when most of you were not born. I talked about visual effects. I talked about Hollywood, Bollywood. For a period of 5 or 6 years, we did the visual effects of every single Yash Raj film. He's the largest filmmaker in the country, right? All the good ones like the Dhooms and the really lousy ones like Nila and Nikki, right? We did them all, right? We did all of Karan Johar's films. We did all of Amir Khan's films. Very, very satisfying. And then when I went and set up the studio in Los Angeles, I worked with every Big Five studio, Fox, Warner, Disney, Paramount, Sony. Very gratifying. And I think all of us love the movies. Right? For us to be sitting, I remember once sitting in the Warner Brothers office in Burbank, in a place in Burbank in LA, and I was sitting in a chair waiting to meet an executive, and just above me was a picture. You guys may not get excited because it's not one of the latest actors, but there was a picture of James Stewart, sitting in the chair that I was sitting, right? Maybe 40, 50, 60 years back. Yeah? Very, very inspirational. So I've had a magical ride, right, with some of these projects. The next picture that you see, the second last one at the bottom, any guesses what that is? It's a car, yes. It's a? No, the second last, this one here. Yeah, I'm supposed not to leave the red circle, right, being a good boy here. Absolutely, it's an autonomous vehicle, right? So the company that I work for, Tata Elxsi, we design and technology company. We work on these in automotive, in transportation, in healthcare, in media and communication. But we worked on full stack autonomous driving. Very, very different from the other work that I did, which I didn't get to put a picture here, for a couple of years, I worked with a global leader in orthopedic implants, knees and hips, as different from Radio City or as different from movie making, even though that came earlier. You see the last one, you know what the way that is? Where the picture is? Sorry? Mumbai. That's the T2 terminal in Mumbai. You know, most of you wouldn't remember, but 15, 20 years ago, our airports were not impressive. They were small airports. That's the first time that you came, Maria, airports may have been smaller. But over the last 10, 15 years, they're all nice and big and glass and steel. Yeah? But even then, where you have nice-looking airports, the experience inside is not always consistent, right? I am from Calcutta, from Kolkata, right? It's a big airport. It's a really large airport. But the experience inside is, not very good. You don't know where to go, how to go, etc. Yeah? So wherever they spend some money and thinking of passenger experience is where the experience is better. Yeah. So for example, in the case of T2 terminal and of course 10 other airports that we worked on service design and passenger experience. So from the time you get off from your vehicles, to the time you get into the aircraft, the entire journey mapping, the touch points, architectural elements, etc. Yeah. Of course, now the best airport in the country is? Yeah, absolutely. We didn't work on that one, unfortunately. So yeah, this encompasses 39 years of work, right, and a lot of learnings. We go to the next slide, Harsh. Passionate work. This example I took, actually, the one of not going home. I love this one. Roger Lambert is somebody none of you would have heard of. He's my dear friend and customer in London. Works with one of the largest media companies in the UK and indeed in Europe. And he's a genius. He's a creative genius in electronics and engineering. He's created a lot of consumer electronic products in Europe, in UK. He lives, and he's a dear friend. I mean, every time I go, I visit him at home. He's a great builder in the sense that he is constantly, if you can see the house in the picture at the bottom where me and he are standing, it's a huge house, it's a mansion, it's about an acre, right? It's outside of London. He keeps constantly renovating, and renovating is not just a small change in the kitchen, right? He breaks down the entire house and makes it again. He lays some of the cement himself, and his latest, and he's the only person I know in this world who's a 3-tractor family. He has tractors, he has gorgeous cars, but he has tractors. These tractors look like Ferraris, but he has tractors, right, to work on his farm. The latest acquisition that he has, 2 latest acquisitions, one was a digger, right? So he keeps on digging in his and it drives his wife mad. I mean, like, he says like his new toy, keeps digging, yeah? Of course, he plants stuff too, but I haven't seen too many of his planted stuff, right? But the really latest one, where he took me a ride on, unlike his other cars, is the one that you see on the left. Do you know what that is? Any guesses? Yeah, how do you know? You're my wife. That's the reason. Yeah. Anyway, so so it's a cherry picker. So and it's a scary thing if you guys have ever been. So the whole thing comes up shakingly, and then it comes down equally shakingly or more shakingly, right? But so these are people with passion. He's a musician, right? He builds electronic products, right, for the world. He does, and he has a horse, right? You know, amazing. I mean, if this is passion, I mean, if this isn't passion, I don't know what is. Yeah. Do we have another example? Okay, let me get to the TOS, the other stuff. Humility and grace. Now, the works speak for themselves. And let me take a couple of examples. The first example is Mr. Hemant Vakil. Again, you wouldn't have heard of him, but can you see the picture below that? Do you know which building that is? Can you read it from where you're sitting? Bombay House, right? So I was probably 24, 25 years old, your age perhaps, many, many years ago. And I sold a lot of computers into Bombay House, various Tata companies, and I was going to sell the very first local area network in 1991, I think, yeah. And I was interacting with Mr. Vakil, who was the company secretary of Tata Industries. You know, Tatas have two holding companies, Tata Sons and Tata Industries. He was the company secretary for Tata Industries. And every time I met him, you know, to go to the fourth floor of Bombay House is where Mr. Ratan Tata sits, where all the big guys sit, right? The big directors and vice presidents. And when you go and there's kind of a passage or a corridor, and you go inside the corridor, first having pushed a huge wrought iron door. And once you enter a door off the corridors, it leads you to a secretarial pool, and then inside them were the really big guys' cabins and chambers, right? So every time I went, I was 23, 24, 25 years old, and he would come out and receive me, open the door for me, open two doors for me. When I came out, every time he would come the doors for me, right? It made such an impact for me. I was this guy in a tie and, you know, selling computers, right? It made a huge difference. Cut to about 4 months later, we were supposed to get the order, and he called and said, Bhaskar, can you come and meet me? I said, my order's ready, so I was very excited. When I went there, he was looking a little sad. I said, what happened? He said, as you know, Mr. Ratan Tata was appointed the chairman last week, so you can imagine how long ago that was, right? He was appointed the chairman last week, and there's a note that he sent out that anything to be used inside Bombay House has to be manufactured by the Tatas, which makes sense, right? They make a lot of things, right? You know, stop fair to steal, as I say. And so I said, what are you going to do now? I said, we're going to buy from Nelco. I said, okay. He felt so bad, he got 4 other directors of Tatas to buy a computer for their homes from me. Yeah? In terms of the value, there was no comparison between a large corporate deal, but just the whole sentiment behind it, you know, it gives me goosebumps now. Yeah, that's class, that's humility, right? The second example, now go back please. The second example, you guys have heard of Stan Lee. Who's Stan Lee? Who what? Come, loudly. Marvel, yeah, he created Spider-Man, guys. You got to know him, right? So we worked with him in Los Angeles. We worked on a project with him, and he's a grand old man, as you know. He's an iconic person. And my first time that I met him, we were having lunch at a restaurant in a place called Rodeo Drive, Los Angeles. And apparently he had lunch there every day, right, for the last so many years. So it was a 2-hour meeting, and in that meeting, and he was so gracious, kind old man. And you know, you couldn't tell they're meeting Stan Lee. My goodness, I'm having lunch with Stan Lee here. During the 2-hour meeting, there were at least 9 people who walked up, right, who were just visitors to the restaurant, who just looked at him, recognized him, came up and spoke to him. Yeah. Every single time he got up, spoke to them, took a picture, you know, it was beautiful, a thing of beauty to watch, right? That's humility. That was an amazing example of humility. How am I doing on time? Yeah, another few minutes? Okay, next slide. Integrity, it just speaks for itself. But because I talk about I take so many cinematic examples, have any of you guys seen Lincoln Lawyer? Yeah, if you have, oh, cool. That's cool. Yeah. Lincoln Lawyer. So if you follow the end, you know, if you look at the finale, there's a reason why he didn't take the agreement, why he didn't agree to what they were offering, right? And that's integrity. And those of you who haven't watched the series, do watch it. It's quite, it's awesome. Yeah. The other example is a movie called Scent of a Woman. Yes, some of you have seen it. Some of you have heard of it. Some of you have seen the lovely dance, the iconic dance that. Clearly much better dance than I did when I came up, by Al Pacino. And watch the movie, right? Or just do a search on YouTube to look at inspirational moments from we're almost done. Just the next slide, and then we're done. Okay, I don't think I have time to talk about the next story. Just go to the next slide. This is it, right? So this is one of my favorite quotes from Maya Angelou. And it says that people will forget what you did. People will forget what you said. But people will remember how you made them feel. So make them feel good. My only takeaway is that be a good person, be a nice person, be a likable person. It's not difficult at all. At all. Take care and God bless you. You've been a fabulous audience. Thank you so much. I just want to leave you with 2 pictures as I walk away. Again, yeah. You know, I blanked out this bit, the arrow eyes, you know why, right? Life is calling, where are you? Life is beautiful. Next slide. Life is beautiful, right? Watch the movie too. Yeah, and the next slide. There's Robbie Williams singing My Way. Listen to it. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhaskar sir, for that compelling reflection.
Not all stories are spoken. Some are told through rhythm, grace, and expression. Kathak, with its intricate footwork and expressive storytelling, carries centuries of tradition in every movement. Please join me in welcoming Srimai and Drishti Sharma for our next dance performance.
एक बार बंसी न बाजी घर श्याम सो, गोपी मुस्कात भई निरखत है अचरज सो। कान्हा की प्रीत भरी श्वास दई राधा ने, बंसी रिसियाए गई बोलत न श्याम सो। अरे बाजी ना बंसी कई कारण मन बेज गयो, कान्हा कर जोरे ठाड़े पूछत है मुरली सो। देख व्यथा कान्हा की बंसी ने मान तजी, फिर बाजी रे बाजी, फिर बाजी ब्रिज श्याम सो।
गिर
digga day, digga digga day, digga da digga digga day, digga digga day, digga digga day, digga da digga digga day.
नूपुर झन झनकाय रे नूपुर झन झनकाय रे थाटले तर त्रिभंग शोभित थाटले तर त्रिभंग शोभित दृष्टि सुख बरसाय रे दृष्टि सुख बरसाय रे सावरा गिरिधर मुरे मन भाय रे मन भाय रे सावरा गिरिधर मुरे मन भाय रे सावरा सावरा सावरा
Thank you, Srimay and Drishti, for such a breathtaking performance. Behind every powerful stage is a vision that brings it to life. We now invite the driving force behind TEDxNMIMS Bangalore, our TEDx head, Karthik Grover, to share a few words.
Good evening, everyone. So last year I was here as one of the hosts, and that time I have never thought that I would come next year as a TEDx head. And right now, when we are going to end this event soon, I'm quite emotional that we have done this. And I want to thank Narayani ma'am, our mentors, Malika ma'am, Shilekha ma'am, Shada ma'am, and all the speakers that you have come here, shared your thoughts. I think everyone from the audience must get some lessons from your stories, that how they can achieve some balance and symmetries in their life. Thank you so much for being here. Next, I would like to thank all the technical team who's every day with us, whether it be Rupesh sir, or Baklavati ma'am, or Tarannu ma'am, everyone, Chandramohan sir, Srinivas sir, they were with us every day, every night. Like we were quite indulgent to it. The main thing, my team. It's not possible without my team. Like I'm shivering right now, but my senior team, you were there every time, even when I was not there. You were working there. You were doing your best to make this event a superb, amazing event of the year. A big shout out to the senior team and the junior team. Each and every one of you, the work that you have put, it's commendable, guys. It, like seeing the event today, it's amazing. You have done a great, great job. So kudos to all of you. Thank you so much for being with us for the whole year, for working for the whole year to make this day successful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Karthik, for your wonderful speech.
Now, as we move towards the closing moments of today, it is our honor to invite a leader whose guidance continues to inspire us. May we now invite the President of Public Relations Cell, Anushka Singh, to address the gathering.
Okay, so as Karthik mentioned, right from there to being here, I'm really overwhelmed First of all, Narayani ma'am, Malika ma'am, Shilekha ma'am, thank you so much for all the late night calls, for all the guidance. Especially Malika ma'am, thank you for entrusting me with this position. And I hope we've lived up to all of your expectations, me and my entire team. A special mention to my Vice President Mannat and Rishabh, the Treasurer, for being the force behind me who's always been there. My decoration, Ria and Dhruv. A huge round of applause for them, guys. All the campus that we've decorated is their brainchild. Rishita, she's sitting over there, our branding head. Been there throughout the night, the presentation that you see here. To all the speakers. They've been so cooperative, ma'am, for all the changes that we've told them, be it anything, any information that we've required. They've been really, really cooperative. Thank you so much to all of you. The audience, thank you for being such a great audience. A huge round of applause for my junior team and my senior team. 3 cheers for the public relations cell. Hip hip, hip hip, hip hip. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Anishka, for being an inspiration throughout. Now, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to our incredible sponsors whose generous support, trust, and commitment have truly elevated this event. Nutrition partner, Akshay Kalpa. Logistics partner, Campus Express. Snacking partner, 2Yum. Refreshing partner, Velubia. Hospitality partner, Nook Living and Sham Nest. Energy partner, Monster.
Travel partner, Ease My Trip. Fuel partner, Drickle. Fragrance partner, Make Your Own Perfume. Gifting partner, Jogwan. Knowledge partner, Skilled Sapiens. Fitness partner, Iron Paradise Gym. And gaming partner, Console Corner.
As we come to the close of today, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to everyone who made this event possible. We thank our respected director for consistently encouraging platforms that celebrate ideas and innovation. We extend our gratitude to our program chairperson for their guidance and to our joint registrar for ensuring seamless execution. A special thank you to our faculty mentors for their valuable support and belief in this team.
We also extend our deepest gratitude to our incredible speakers for sharing their journeys and insights. To our public relations cell, thank you for your tireless efforts behind the scenes. And finally, to our audience, thank you for being present, engaged, and open to new perspectives. On behalf of the entire TEDxNMIMS Bangalore team, we are grateful to each and every one of you. And with this, we close the 13th chapter of TEDxNMIMS Bangalore. See you next year. To all our speakers, may we please invite you on stage for a picture.